enough sky. What am I the thorn in your eye? Too much sun and not enough sky. What am I the thorn in your eye? Too much sun and not enough sky. I've lost again, but I gotta maintain. Too much sun and not enough sky. What am I the thorn in your eye?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first race in the chase for the championship here in Season 2, NASCAR One More Cup Series, and this is also the 27th race of Season 2 NASCAR One More Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, aka Thrash Maniac 99, the voice of NASCAR One More Cup Series, here to welcome you here to the New England 300 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This is going to be an interesting race here because this is the first race in the chase for the championship. Now, the chase standings heading into this race, Hunter Bell, Austin Talley, and David Rivera are all tied for the points lead due to having 2 wins apiece, so they come into this race with 2,006 points. Parker Wright, Kris Wascher, and Chase Oliver, Joshua Collard tied for second in points with 2,003 points. And then the rest of the 5 drivers in the chase they are Mason Broemmer, Gabe Williams, Betty Johnson, Jessica Shelton, Seth Cole, and Charles Jackson all have 2,000 points. So they all come in tied for third in points. So this is the first race in the chase, and we are going to see a lot of mixed and matched types of racing with a bunch of these guys who are not in the chase but are trying to get a win. Like, for example, the highest driver in points that is not in the chase is Henrietta Fitzwater at 14th in points. And she wants to try to get her first win of the season, but can she do it today? Who knows? We're going to see some interesting racing here. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your starting lineup for today's race. There's a look at your starting lineup. Sonny Hammond on the pole with Chaser David Rivera in second. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys and girls. Already, it looks like it's going to be 3 wide for the lead as Mason Broemmer trying to go to the bottom to get around the 34 of Sonny Hammond as David Rivera forced up in the high line after starting second. And Sonny Hammond back in the Taco Bell paint scheme. He is trying to go for his first career NASCAR One More Cup Series victory. Will he be able to do it today? We'll find out as he leads lap 1. And already I saw Theo Stegall get turned. There he is, wrecked. And then Eric Burden's involved. Henrietta Fitzwater, Austin Talley. And then we got another incident. Justin Talampas, Dylan Thero get involved. So we had a couple of incidents taking place here on lap 2. While in the meantime, Sonny Hammond coming to the caution to lead lap 2. We need to keep an eye out on everybody to see if they're going to be able to settle this whole thing out. Otherwise, there could be a problem. And it looks like they will settle it out. Sonny Hammond's your leader. Let's take a look at a replay to see what brought the caution out for the first time today here at New Hampshire. Well, here's a look at it. Theo Stegall was caught in a 3-wide situation with Henrietta Fitzwater and Kris Wascher. And it looks like the 83 and the 36 just collide. And that forces the 83 to go up in the track. And wow, then she got hit hard by Eric Burton. And Austin Talley was held up in this. And then all of a sudden, something happens to the 78 and the 17. Let's see what happens with Talampas and Dylan Thero. Dylan Thero actually got in the Talampas, and then they both go up into the outside wall. I don't think Talampas is going to be too happy with the 17 with Dylan Thero after this race. I don't know what that was all about, but let's take a look at Henrietta Fitzwater as she got hit hard right in the right side door, right there by Eric Burden. Michael Norman actually gets a little piece of it. Actually, Austin Talley, I don't think he got involved. I think he was just held up and slowed down. And Henrietta Fitzwater goes over for a barrel roll. That was a hard hit for that 36 car. And she's going to try to drive away, but Eric Burden starts smoking. So I think we might have 1 or 2 retirees from this race as a result. But that was a look at what brought the caution out. Let's take you to the restart. Well, after that first caution, we have 2 cars out of the race, and they are Henrietta Fitzwater and Eric Burton. Tough break for both of those cars. Sonny Hammond is your leader. Second is Mason Broemmer, who's a chaser. Third is Ryan Anderson Jr. Fourth is Danny Wells. Fifth is Barney Taylor. Sixth is chaser David Rivera. Seventh is Dylan Young. Eighth is Zachary Fitzwater. Ninth is chaser Betty Johnson. 10th is Rue McIntyre. Then it's chaser Parker Wright, Checo Knight, chaser Gabe Williams, Trent Dunham, Brody Talley, Ian Dutta, Ken Thero, Alex Pedro, Cody Lamas, and chaser Charles Jackson, the top 20. Then it's chaser Chase Oliver, chaser Hunter Bell, chaser Jessica Shelton, Alex Hawkins, chaser Kris Wascher. Then it's Kyle Matthews, Sam Young, PJ Williams, Tommy Mooney, and Austin Weiner, the top 30. Then it's Preston Ford, Matt McIntyre, chaser Joshua Gollard, chaser Seth Cole, Annie Thomas, Michael Norman, Theo Stegall, Dylan Thero, and chaser Austin Talley, along with Justin Talampas. As now we are back under green, and Sonny Hammond appeared to have gotten a pretty good restart that time. Mason Broemmer under attack from Ryan Anderson Jr. for second. As it's still side by side between the 51 and the 11 car. As everybody, oh, and we got another incident. There goes Alex Pedro. Oh, and then we got multiple cars involved. This is a big wreck. You see Austin Weiner was in there. Charles Jackson, a chaser, was involved. I saw Jessica Shelton get a piece of it somewhere. Kris Wascher, another chaser, was involved. He's smoking. Alex Hawkins was involved. There's the damage on Jessica Shelton. And Chase Oliver actually has some damage from that. Checo Knight I saw had damage, or no, that's probably a glitch. So we get a big wreck here on lap 8. And now we're going to see if these drivers are going to come down pit road for gas and tires. See what these drivers are going to do. Doesn't look like they're coming down. They're going to stay out again. But since we're under the caution, let's take a look at a replay to see what brought out the caution for the second time today here at New Hampshire. Well, here's a look at what happened. Charles Jackson gets sandwiched in between Cody Lamas and Alex Pedro, and that forces the 10 car around. Chase Oliver actually didn't get involved. And then right there, Jackson comes down into Shelton and into Hawkins, and then You had Sam Young, Tommy Mooney, P.J. Williams, Austin Weiner all get into this. Seth Cole does a great job of getting through that little gap. But I know a few chasers were in there. Shelton, Jackson, Washer, for sure were in that mess. But let's take a look at this one more time just to get an actual perspective. There's Jackson right in the middle between the 10 and the 15, and he just gets sandwiched in between, and that causes the 10 to go around. And then Charles gets hit right there and forces him into Shelton and into Hawkins. While in the meantime, there you see Washer, who is already damaged. You know, actually, I didn't really see Washer get in there. How does he get into this? He's coming off of 4, and there you see the wreck happens right there up ahead. I think he might have gotten into the back of Alex Hawkins. Let's take a look. No, he got hit. He hit Alex Pedro. That's what happened. And then there you see P.J. Williams, Sam Young, Matt McIntyre get involved. And then cars just started to pile in a little bit, but didn't get too much damage. Austin Weiner, I think he just went for a spin, and that was it. And, oh, he does get into Sam Young a little bit, but not enough to cause the car to smoke. But that was a big wreck that took place here for the second time here at New Hampshire for caution purposes. And speaking of that, let's take you to the restart. Well, after that last caution, we have several cars out of the race, 3 more to add to the list, and they are Alex Hawkins, Kris Wascher, and Tommy Mooney. All those cars are out of the race. But Sonny Hammond is still your leader. Second is Ryan Anderson Jr. Third is Mason Broemmer, who's a chaser. Fourth is Danny Wells. Fifth is Barney Taylor. Sixth is Henrietta Fitzwater. Seventh is Dylan Young. Eighth is chaser David Rivera. Ninth is chaser Betty Johnson. 10th is chaser Parker Wright. Let's look through the field to find any more chasers. There's 14th of Gabe Williams, Chase Oliver, and 18th Hunter Bell, and 20th Jessica Shelton, 22nd, Charles Jackson, 25th, Joshua Collar, 29th, Seth Cole, 30th, Austin Talley, 35th, and then you have Washer out of the race. So Washer is the only chaser out of the race after that last caution. But here we go. Green flag is back out with 26 laps to go here in New Hampshire. And Sonny Hammond just has a fast car, able to get going on the restarts. Meanwhile, Ryan Anderson Jr. is starting to pull away from Mason Broemmer. And Mason Broemmer going side by side with Danny Wells at the current moment. As I'm looking around the back, and I didn't see any incidents take place. And in fact, we are still green. Sonny Hammond trying to go for his first career Walmart Cup Series victory. And what a way he could do it than to dominate here at New Hampshire. Let's see up ahead, we are still green. We might be able to get a green flag run in this race, and we are still green. Meanwhile, Ryan Anderson Jr. starting to try to run down the 34 of Sonny Hammond at the moment. He's actually getting a little closer to him each time. Meanwhile, back here, side by side still between Mason Broemmer and Danny Wells for the 3rd position. And that's leaving room for Barney Taylor to come up into the fray, along with Zachary Fitzwater and Dylan Young. Meanwhile, back up at the front, Sonny Hammond still leads. Let's take a look at the margin it was last time. It was 0.3 of a second. This time, it is still 0.3 of a second. So really, although by a little, by about a hundredth or about 5/100ths of a second, Ryan Anderson Jr., or no, a hundredth of a second, or half a hundredth, Ryan Anderson Jr. was faster than Sonny Hammond that last lap. And we got caution, and there's a big puff of smoke. Who was involved in this? You see Brody Talley. Oh, Collard and Hunter Bell were involved in this. Two chasers right there were into this mess. I don't see anybody else who's wrecked. But there's a big, long line of cars that are running in the back. I'm not sure what happened, but there was a big smoke cloud. Might have been a pile-up incident, a stack-up effect where some cars just went for spins. But let's see if they're coming down pit road, in which they are not. But we're going to take a look at a replay to see what brought the caution out for the third time today here at New Hampshire. Well, here's a look at what happened. Another 3-white situation coming off of 4. This is with Brody Talley, Chaser Gabe Williams, and Ian Dutta. And it looks like Dutta comes up into Gabe Williams, up into Brody Talley, and then they both go for a spin. And there's where Hunter Bell gets his damage. Ken Thero gets a piece of it. Cody Lamas, Kyle Matthews all got into this. But it was just a big puff of smoke that came out of all this. And 2 chasers got damaged, and they were Collard and Hunter Bell, but also Gabe Williams was involved in this. But that was a look at what brought the caution out. Let's take you back to the restart. Well, after that last caution, we have another car out of the race, and that is Chaser Hunter Bell. So he will not be leading the points after this race. Sonny Hammond has led every single lap today. He is your leader. Second is Ryan Anderson Jr. Third is Chaser Mason Broemmer. Fourth is Danny Wells. Fifth is Barney Taylor. Sixth is Zachary Fitzwater. Seventh is Dylan Young. Eighth is Chaser David Rivera. Ninth is Chaser Betty Johnson. 10th is Chaser Parker Wright. Let's look through many more chasers. Chase Oliver running in 14th. Then the next highest chase driver is Charles Jackson in 23rd. 24th, Gabe Williams. 25th, Seth Cole. 27th, Jessica Shelton. 31st is Austin Talley. And then 36 is Joshua Collard, who has no hood on his car. And here we go. Green flag is back out here at New Hampshire. Sonny Hammond didn't get going on that restart, and that's going to open up room for Ryan Anderson Jr. and Mason Broemmer to attempt to get around the 34. Although Sonny Hammond trying to make that outside line work, and it is going to work. And we are still green now. Meanwhile, it's pretty close with the top 4, Hammond, Anderson, Broemmer, and Wells. And now Ryan Anderson Jr. trying to take a peek down low to try to get around for the lead. And he's there, but Hammond trying to hold on to it. Hammond is still going to lead that lap. But Ryan Anderson Jr.'s got that bottom line. But Sonny Hammond seems to get good runs up off the high line. But now Ryan Anderson Jr. is trying to get that lead. And he's trying to get his first win of his career as well in his rookie season. And let's see if he's going to be able to clear him. Not quite, but he is going to lead this lap. So that's the first lead change of this entire race. And now the 51 is going to clear the 34. Since we're still green and we've got a lead change, let's take a look at how the top 20 runs. Or at least the top 10, as well as where the chasers currently run at the moment. Is Ryan Anderson Jr. the leader? Oh, but wait a minute. PJ Williams got spun. And Cody Lamas was involved. Oh. He saved it, but it had to bring the caution out because it was on the racetrack when it happened. So the caution comes out for the 4th time today here at New Hampshire. And Ryan Anderson Jr. in the 51 Target Chevy is the leader. While we're under caution, let's now take a look at a replay to see what brought out the caution for the 4th time today here in New Hampshire. Well, here's a look at what happened. PJ Williams was running right behind Jekko Knight. He gets into Jekko a little bit, and as he came down, he got down in front of Cody Lamas. And that forced the 27 to go for a spin and a slide down the front stretch. And Dylan Thero, I think, was the closest car that could have hit him, but nobody hit him. But it was enough to bring the caution out because the wreck happened on the racetrack, and the 27 did come up, so they had to bring the yellow flag out. But we luckily got away with just a solo car spin. Now we shall take you back to the restart. Well, after that last caution, no cars ended up over a wall, but let's check and make sure PJ Williams is there. Yeah, there he is. He's just coming out of pit road, along with Dylan Thero. But Ryan Anderson Jr. is your leader. 2nd is Sonny Hammond. 3rd is Chaser Mason Broemmer. 4th is Danny Wells. 5th is Zachary Fitzwater. 6th is Barney Taylor. 7th is Chaser Betty Johnson. 8th is Dylan Young. 9th is Chaser Parker Wright. And then rounding out the top 10 is Chaser David Rivera. Up other chasers, Chase Oliver in 13th. 18th, Charles Jackson. 21st is Gabe Williams. 25th is Austin Talley. 26th is Seth Cole. 30th is Jessica Shelton. 32nd is Joshua Collard. And that is all for the chase drivers, as the other chasers that are out of the race are Hunter Bell, Kris Wascher. But here we go, green flag is back out. Sonny Hammond gonna try to go to the bottom to get his lead back, and he's there. He is there. Sonny Hammond going to try to get his spot back up at the front where he was up until that last restart when Ryan Anderson Jr. got underneath him, but now he's going to tuck in line back behind the 51. Meanwhile, back here, we have a battle for the 4th spot between teammates Zachary Fitzwater and Danny Wells. Meanwhile, Ryan Anderson Jr. still holds the lead. And when we come to the stripe, it'll be 6 laps to go. I think if possible, if a caution comes out now, they may go back to green for a green-white checkered. But I think if a caution comes out between laps 35... Oh, but the caution flag has just been flown as I'm trying to find who was involved. Dylan Thero's on pit road. Oh, I see Ken Thero damaged along with Justin Talampas. But meanwhile, Ryan Anderson Jr. still leads the way as they're racing it back to the line. And Ryan Anderson Jr. will lead this lap. I believe we may be able to go back green for a green-white checkered or a one-lap shootout, if possible. But let's now take a look at a replay to see what brought the caution out for the 5th time today here at New Hampshire. Here's a look at it, another 3-white situation involving Michael Norman, Justin Talampas, and Ken Thero. It looks like Collard actually came up and got his teammate Ken Thero down in the Talampas, and they both go up into the outside wall. And then Ken Thiero comes down in front of Alex Pedro and goes for another slide. While in the meantime, Talampas is trying to get back going. I don't know about that. That was between teammates. Collard, he might have gotten a little bit tight, and he got a little understeer and got up into his teammate, and that's what started it. But Ken Thiero may not be happy with his teammate Joshua Collard starting this, but nonetheless, that is a look at what happened. Let's take you to what could be our final restart for today. Well, it looks like we are going to have a one-lap shootout to determine the winner, but after that last caution, Ken Thiero and Justin Talampas are out of the race. Ryan Anderson Jr. is your leader. Second is Sonny Hammond. Third is Chaser Mason Broemmer. Fourth is Danny Wells. Fifth is Zachary Fitzwater. Sixth is Barney Taylor. Seventh is Chaser Betty Johnson. Eighth is Dylan Young. Ninth is Chaser Parker Wright. 10th is Chaser David Rivera. Other chasers, Chase Oliver in 12th. Charles Jackson in 17th. Gabe Williams 22nd. 24th, Seth Cole. 25th, Austin Talley. 29th is Joshua Collard. 30th, Jessica Shelton. And that does it for the chasers, as like I said, Hunter Bell and Kris Wascher are the only chasers who are out of the race. But here we go. One lap shootout. Who's going to win? Here we go. Green flag is out along with the white flag. And Ryan Anderson Jr. got a pretty good restart. Meanwhile, Danny Wells trying to go underneath of Mason Broemmer for the third spot. Sonny Hammond's going to have only one shot. He's going to have to dive bomb turn 3. Oh man, he tried, but I don't think it's going to work. Coming off of turn number 4 for the last time, Ryan Anderson Jr. is going to win the New England 300 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Great job by that 51 team. And none of these cars ended up coming down pit road at all, so they were able to make it on fuel throughout this whole time. But what a job by Ryan Anderson Jr. He finally gets his first win of his career and for the season. And chase race number 1 is in the books. So that means we have 9 more races left in the season as well as in the chase. And Ryan Anderson Jr. gets that win. Great performance by that 51 team. Here are the official results for the race. Ryan Anderson Jr. is going to win here at New Hampshire. Great job by him. The dominant car of the race, Sonny Hammond, comes close yet again, and he's going to come away with a second place finish. Mason Broemmer was the highest finishing chase driver in the field. He's going to come away with third. Great run for him. Danny Wells is going to come away with a fourth place finish. Great finish for him. And Zachary Fitzwater rounds out the top 5. Great run for him. Barney Taylor gets a solid 6th place finish. Then the next highest chase driver was Betty Johnson in 7th. Great run for her. Dylan Young comes away with a solid 8th place finish. Parker Wright comes away with 9th, another chaser. And then rounding out the top 10 was chaser David Rivera. Great run for him. The rest of the top 20 was chaser Chase Oliver, Trent Dunham, Rue McIntyre, Jecko Knight, Austin Weiner, Matt McIntyre, chaser Charles Jackson, Preston Plord, Annie Thomas, and Ian Dutta. The rest of the top 30 was Cody Lamas, chaser Gabe Williams, Brody Talley, chaser Seth Cole, chaser Austin Talley, Kyle Matthews, Theo Stegall, Michael Norman, chaser Joshua Collard, and then chaser Jessica Shelton. And then the cars that finished on the lead lap were Alex Pedro and Sam Young. And then the next 2 finished the race but were 2 or 3 laps down, Dylan Thiero and PJ Williams. Everybody else was out of the race. Ken Thiero, Justin Talampas, chaser Hunter Bell, Alex Hawkins, chaser Kris Wascher, Tommy Mooney, Henrietta Fitzwater, and Eric Burton. Those are the cars out of the race. Now, when the points started, Mason Broemmer came in 6 points behind the points leader, which was Hunter Bell, Austin Talley, David Rivera. Mason Broemmer finished 7 spots ahead of David Rivera, so I believe Mason Broemmer is going to be the points leader heading into the next race, which I am going to look for on my schedule. The next race we run is California, so that is how the next race is going to be. Mason Broemmer is your points leader by 1 point over David Rivera. So that is how your point standings as far as the top 2 is going to look heading into California. But until then, here's your results: rookie points, chase points, and regular point standings. Until next race, so long, everybody.